I could have gone into any other program in the country and been kind of like boxed in. I was already being hard enough on myself. I needed some very tough love, but some like encouragement. Rather than being like, you're shit. It's no longer valuable for me to be putting the time and effort into these things. I need somebody on my team to help me. I remember leaving my very last non-union audition and crying. I just like realized how much I enjoy it. I think it like scratches a little baby director itch in me. I realized I'm super passionate about like having a positive experience self-taping so you don't feel like it's a nightmare. Like we got into this industry because we find joy in it, because we love it. Like, why would you take that out of auditioning? I think being driven people and artists, there's always one more step further that you can go. And like, okay, well, there's another no. The yes, I'm one step closer to a yes. I think a lot of people that are young are having to work harder than ever, and but like in this industry, it's tenfold.
Before we get into this interview, 90% of the people who have watched this podcast have not subscribed. Please, for the love of God, please subscribe. It helps us out so much, and it doesn't cost you a damn thing. Welcome. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. I want to ask you about Desperate Measures first.
Oh, sounds good.
And then we'll go back. So Desperate Measures, how did that come to be, and how was it? Sold out all of Fringe?
All of Fringe.
Yeah,
I think
that's
by
amazing.
the time we opened, we had like 3 seats left for the rest of the run or something
That
crazy
is
like
nuts.
that. So grateful, so grateful. Desperate Measures was so much fun.
It sounded like a lot of fun. I'm so sad I didn't see that.
That's
one.
okay. Well, who knows? Maybe what the universe will provide.
Another one.
Another one. I mean, the times continue to be desperate, so here we are.
That's so true.
So my good friends Rachel Moore and Catherine Teichman wrote it, and Rachel directed it, and scrappy indie Fringe. Catherine did so many other things, and they were both. And then, of course, we had Matt Filipiak and Kat Sandler dramaturging it and like offering their support that way too.
Nice.
So it's like, really scraping the bottom of the barrel with those two. That's a joke for legal purposes.
For legal purposes, I'm 100% kidding.
Yeah. So I, the year before last, they got a slot in the Hamilton Fringe, and they chose just to do like readings of all different like compilations of people and things like that. And so I got to do a reading with my dear friend David DiFrancesco.
Nice.
And we always joke that we look like we're married anyways. Like we joke that we cosplay as like a very hetero, like middle class suburban Hallmark couple. For sure.
Amazing.
So I got to do a reading with them that way. Sorry, I'm probably going to say so many times.
Oh, story of my life. All the editing is just all the ums.
So I did a reading with David, and then I did another reading with them in Hamilton, and then they asked me to audition when they got the Toronto Fringe slot, because it's a lottery, of course, so you never know if you're going to get in.
True.
And then they asked me to do it, and I was so happy, and then getting to co-star with Cam Kneedleman and everything was just like so lovely, and I felt like we had such good chemistry, and
amazing.
Lisa was great, and yeah, I mean, definitely like a work in development as we're doing it. Like there were times where we're like, okay, so this scene's different now. Always early enough and everything by the time we had
but
like
such is the way of Fringe, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And like we had a script lock date and stuff like that. But it was yeah, it was so much fun to run around, and like there's great photos of us in rehearsal. We would do like a panty run. So I mean, the plot is a nurse decides to start selling her panties online because desperate times, desperate measures.
And it's good money, I hear.
Apparently, but then we had to look it up. We're like, okay,
Is it good money?
Yeah. So there's some like suspension of disbelief there as well.
Right.
But yeah, it was a super fun time, and so at one point we did like a panty run basically, because there was panties everywhere by the end of the set, and we had to just make sure. Also, I've never used the word panties more in my life between this show and anything else I've like discussed it. So they're like red, lacy mock thongs basically, and we have to like, they're stuffed everywhere in the set, and we had to like do so many runs just to make sure that there was enough for us to use. But yeah, so it was very fun and very intimacy coordinated. And
I love it.
Yeah.
Just a run for, do we have enough panties?
Do we have enough panties? Or are the panties consistently in the right places?
Yeah.
Things moments like that where it's like, wow, I went to theater school for this. I'm a professional. Here I am.
Right. Here I am. This is my calling.
Yeah, here I am, Mom. Aren't you proud of me?
I've made it, actually.
I've made it, yeah.
I love that. That's hilarious. And so you went to school after post-secondary. Did you always know you wanted to be an actor?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's cliche, but I wish there was something else I loved as much, basically.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people always ask about like whether I want to quit or not, or like, have you had thoughts of quitting? And I was like, no, I just really wish I wanted to do anything else.
Yeah.
I never want to quit, but
yeah, there are other things
wanting a 9-to-5, like that sounds so
nightmare, right?
Yeah.
So anytime I'm like stressed or anything like that, or like you have to job or like, or in between things, any single time I'm like, was this it? And I'm like, no, I would still rather do this. Okay, let's keep going.
Right,
It's all just worth it. But yeah, I remember being very, very young and watching The Wizard of Oz. And I would always like make up stories on my own and pretend to, like, there were signs. The signs were there very early on, unfortunately. And I remember watching The Wizard of Oz and being captivated by like the story and everything happening. And then when then I learned at like 4 or 5 that those were people pretending to do that. And I remember being like, what? Little Hilary in Saskatchewan being like, sorry, what? Sign me up.
Where do I go? They're like, definitely not Saskatchewan.
Yeah, exactly. The film industry used to be quite big out there, but then they lost all their tax credits. So yeah, I mean, and I think I love Toronto and I'm so happy to be here and don't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah,
but,
so you moved here for school then, I imagine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And kind of always wanted to. I was like, I want to be in a place that's like super diverse and bigger. I'm very grateful to have grown up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like some of the Hallmark movies, like, they really hit, you know? I'm like, I've been there. I understand that vibe.
Yeah.
But and like, I miss the sky though. I do have to go back once a year and like look at the horizon for a couple minutes.
With no buildings in the way.
Put my feet on the ground for a second and everything like that. So it's nice to do both.
That's awesome. And where did you go to school? Humber?
Yes, I went to Humber for the theater performance program, which I think has kind of shifted since then. But I saw you had Tony Afori on.
Yes.
Tony's a Humber grad too.
Yes.
He graduated right before I got there.
No
so
way.
We just missed each other. We met in the real world instead.
Nice. Yeah. That's so cool. And did you do the ACTRA credit when you graduated?
I didn't. I will say
I think a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, I did not know about it. So I didn't graduate school with an agent.
Okay.
I did Theater-O. I took a couple meetings. Nothing really worked out. I was also in this like phase. I was so young then. I was like, I only want to do theater. I'm an artist. First of all,
I also don't want my bills to be paid.
Yeah, I was like, first of all, that's naive and untrue. And second of all, you can do both. And third of all, I started being on set when I was 14 years old. Like, I was like, I don't know why. I was 24. Don't. So
we were all silly in our early 20s.
Yeah, exactly. So then, like, a couple years later, I was like, so this has been fun, and I love theater, but I would like my bills to be paid. And I think also as a creator, for myself, the way story structure things work for me.
Yeah.
I think my brain in a screenwriting capacity works better for film and TV anyways. It's
Yeah.
like all of a sudden we're in a different room. So anyway, so I didn't do the ACTRA credit. I think there was some shifting in the program leadership too. And I think that information, either I wasn't listening or it fell through the cracks to me.
I love that.
And yeah, so no, I didn't do it. But honestly, like, I'm so glad for the experience that I was able to get out of theater school and just like throw yourself into anything. And
what was your biggest takeaway from Humber?
Humber? What I always say about Humber is I feel like I could have gone into any other program in the country and been kind of like boxed in. I'm very tall. I'm between 5'9" and 5'10". Yeah, exactly. Tall girl club, represent.
Yeah, right.
And I feel like so often we get boxed into like maternal roles and things like that, which is fine. I've played a mom so many times, and I myself am like very maternal and very caring, very acts of service. But I think a lot of other programs that I could have gone to would have very much like put me in that box and kept me there. And at Humber, they really just like encouraged us to feed into our own artistry, to ask ourselves all these questions. And I think because I grew up doing musical theater and things like that, I was a little archetypey. So I really liked that they were like, no, but who's that? Who are you? And I was able to, I always say my first main stage show in first year, I played Aphrodite, and I had like cool, hot, sexy red pants and like a white lace top, and was like screaming and doing the things and like femininity. And then my last main stage show with them, I got to play Azdak in Caucasian Chalk Circle, who was like traditionally played by a man, and is like, my teeth were blacked out, and I was like grungy and stuff like that. Range. So
I love that.
So that was my biggest takeaway from Humber, is like, I don't think we should sugarcoat things. I think it's a tough industry.
Yeah.
But I don't think an actor needs to be broken down in order to be rebuilt up.
Yeah.
And I think that
you don't need to make us cry.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do it already.
Yeah. We're already doing it a lot, okay?
Yeah, exactly. And like that's part of the training too, and it certainly was for me.
Yeah.
But I was already being hard enough on myself. I needed some very tough love, but some like encouragement and like a what's in there kind of thing, like pushing in terms of that, rather than being like, I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yeah.
Rather than being like, you're shit.
Yeah, that's not helpful at all.
No, it's not. No, it's not at all.
Excellent. That's awesome. And then agents, how did you get your first agent?
My first agent,
and it was a while after school, you were saying, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 3 years out of school.
Nice.
So I did a lot of stuff on my own. I had done like a feature and things like that. I was on Mandy, I was on The Face. I was just like
all the things.
I was on all the things. And then I got into a couple situations like with contracts and things like that. And I just felt like I could go as far as I could go. I was really happy to be able to like dipping my toe more into film and TV in a more official capacity, non-union at the time, of course, but like I felt like I was like, okay, I'm ready, and what am I trying to say? It's no longer valuable for me to be putting the time and effort into these things. I need somebody on my team to help me. And so I sent out emails, and I sent out hard copies, and I walked up to the characters and was like, hello. I always had a referral. I was never like a person just being like busting down a door. Like,
Here the fuck I am.
Yeah, exactly. I was like trying to do it respectfully and being like, I'm a professional and understand how the industry works, but also, can you please take this package and give it to so-and-so? My friend is rep by them, or referrals from like coaches and things like that. And so it was constantly like butterflying around and gathering information. A couple nice emails, but I think people were like, for example, the agent at the characters I was chatting with was like, I think you need to go do things, and you can give me a call again in a few years. Which happens.
I've had that.
And so like took a couple meetings, and then I was doing a play at the Tarragon Theater with a company called Seven Siblings Theater, and right around then I took a meeting, and an agent was like, would love to have you, and we worked together for about 3 years. And into the pandemic, and then I just felt like we had hit our ceiling. She was so wonderful. I loved her. And it was just clear that it was time for me to go, kind of thing.
I like the way you put that, though, hit the ceiling, because I think every actor that's like changed agents knows exactly what that is like. Okay, so I think we've done all we can do here, and now it's just on to the next one that can get me into the next level, get me in different rooms.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
like
always
that.
good to be reassessing your goals, and it's a team sport too. So my email to her was very like, thank you so much for like signing me as a little baby, and like, I mean, it was in my 20s, but like, kind of helping nurture this relationship, and she was growing her agency at the time too. So I think it was a mutually beneficial good thing. It doesn't have to be like a dramatic or a bad thing.
Yeah, no, and I'm very much thank you so much. Like I do appreciate everything. Please don't hate me.
It's a team sport, right? That's the thing.
100%.
It's like they need us, we need them. It's it's an ecosystem, right?
And you were saying before we started filming that you just signed with somebody around August-ish area?
July, August, whatever.
Nice.
This summer?
This past summer.
I signed with Grand Wave with Carolyn and Morgan there. And honestly, it's been a short time, but it's been a good time, and I hope it lasts a long time. I've had, COVID, SAG strikes, all of the things.
Because you're union too, right?
Yeah.
How did union happen for you?
How did union happen for me?
Yeah.
So union happened for me begging and pleading. And another thing is like I could have joined the union on an episode of Corner Gas when I was like 15 years old when I was a kid. And my parents are both athletes. So they were like, so when Hilary 4 or 5 was like, ooh, I want to do this. They were like, we don't know what to do with it. Don't you want to play hockey? Kind of thing. So my parents were, really understanding. Yeah. But they didn't know the industry and everything like that. And I was repped by an agent when I was like a kid and a teenager in Regina. So I could have joined the union or like started the apprentice track when I was a teenager. Everything happens for a reason. Trust the dots. I'm glad that I didn't. I got so much experience being non-union. But my parents, I remember, they're like, you want to take how much money for her? Like they kind of didn't believe it. And at that time I was in a theater company and things like that. And it was just like, oh, she does this like a few days a year. Right. Like, this is fine kind of thing. Right. So how I joined the union was like that first agent I told you about, that was part of the ceiling too, was we were having like a really, really hard time just like getting me in the room. And I think part of that is the demographic I'm in. Yeah. And it's...
Yeah, I've always said, I'm like, there's never any shortage of white girls in the union. Yeah, they're never like, we couldn't find a single white girl. Yeah,
not a single white girl 25 to 35. There's none of those. Yeah, for sure. Which is like, and more room for everyone. Like, let's make that, like, let's let that be clear. But yeah, it's, I was certainly, it's a oversaturated situation. Yeah. And so what I was able to do, I was getting like some union auditions, but just not booking them and things like that. And it was probably like 2 years. I remember leaving my very last non-union audition and crying and being like, it was right before COVID and I booked it and I was so happy for it. And I remember like proclaiming to the sky that I want that to be my last non-union audition because it had been years. I was working my butt off, as everybody always is.
You're worth it.
And I was like, I went to school for this. I've been working for years. I felt like I had hit that ceiling. Yeah. And I remember being in an audition with a guy who like didn't know to turn to face camera.
Yo, yes. I've been in an acting class where I was like, I don't think I can be in this acting class anymore. But yeah, they just didn't do their research and like basic things. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go.
And that's cool. And everybody needs to start from somewhere. Like not everybody went to theater school. Not everybody's been in class for forever. That's okay.
It's okay. It's just not where I need to be.
Yeah, exactly. So you just gotta find your little spots. And exactly. I think that's what the industry is all about.
I ended up just taking a term off and then going back, and then it was fine.
Gorge. So, and it worked out well. Yeah. Yeah. So I was just like, and it's like the audition experience I was speaking about. It's not that guy's fault. That guy's probably like, he was playing my dad. He's probably like an older retired guy that was like, hello, I'd like to try acting, which is amazing. Like,
and I've had a few people on that are like, I had no idea what to do for a self-tape. My TV was in the background and whatever. I was like,
as someone who does self-tapes for myself and other people, that makes me be like, what?
Right. Tell me about your self-tapes. Did you start this? Is it through like a program or is it just your thing that you do?
It's just my thing that I do.
Love.
I had been not officially coaching people. I need to join ACE. I need to do it. Now that I'm saying it, I need to officially do it.
Get her done.
But, yes. But we all have our communities, we all have our hubs, we all have our little bubbles. So 100%. I would me and my friends would always help each other and whatnot. And like, I just like realized how much I enjoy it. I think it like scratches a little baby director itch in me, which definitely does not replace actor.
No, but
I've done assistant directing and things like that. And I was like, I do. For the right things, it's amazing, but it doesn't replace it. It's something that I've learned. But it just like, I think it makes me a better actor. I realized I'm super passionate about like having a positive experience self-taping so you don't feel like it's a nightmare. Like, we got into this industry because we find joy in it, because we love it. Like, why would you take that out of auditioning? So I try to just like infuse that. So
yeah, I'm trying to hold on to like, because I've just started auditioning again since August.
Yeah.
And I love every time I get one, I'm so excited and like, yay. And then I feel like after a while of auditioning, you're like, I friggin' hate this. So I want to hold on to this and remember this as long as I can.
It's so easy to be jaded, right? And be like, oh, great, another one-liner or whatever. And you're like, I would have killed for this years ago.
Right, exactly.
Like as a little non-union hill, like
100%.
You know?
100%.
So yeah, so grabbing onto that, but also like there's room for both.
Yeah.
All feelings are valid, you know?
We'll let it those feelings happen for commercial auditions, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Depending on the commercial.
Please give me that check.
Yeah, it's like, but also still hire me.
And end the lockout.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So back to your agents, because I started that and then I took you on a whole different tangent.
It's my undiagnosed ADHD. I relate to you.
Same.
He's
diagnosed by TikTok.
Yeah.
Dr. TikTok has diagnosed me with all kinds of things.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so back to agents. Yes. You're just with this new one. Yeah. And you had a difficult experience with your last one. Did I say that right?
I was like,
we talked about this earlier. I was like, I know what you mean. That came out really wrong.
So I was with Butler Rustin Bell.
We love all agents.
Blink twice if you're okay.
Yeah. No. Oh no, it was just a sudden ending.
A sudden ending, unexpected. Yes. I mean, like, it just puts the cherry on top of the past few years.
No kidding.
This industry
was it
landscape.
After COVID? Or during COVID?
During, after.
Just in the middle of a shitstorm.
Yeah, exactly. In January, too, you're like, oh, good. It's like, notoriously busy.
I'm definitely not going to kill myself now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel great. No, I was with Butler Rustin Bell, who I signed with after that initial agent, and I loved them. I had such a great time with them, and I felt like they really, like, we were building such a good foundation. And then, as all things do, it was, they retired, which is reasonable. I'm like, oh, please move on. And like,
you wanted to enjoy your life
and drink
being an agent
and everything like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it was really challenging because Compass had ended a few months earlier.
Right.
And I remember like, I was like, hello. Coming back to like all the other agents that I had not auditioned for, but that I had submitted to before, right?
Yeah,
like, hello, it's me, and I'm union.
Remember
and I've
me?
done all these classes. Yeah, exactly. And like, here I am. And I was, really appreciative. Had, some really nice feedback and everything, but they were like, we just signed like 3 people from Compass or whatnot, or, like realistically, if you were on a roster like BRB, the rosters were huge, and some had been there for like 30 years or 20 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like those people,
we'll have priority.
Which, makes sense. It's like, I salute you.
Yeah.
But Hilary was like, shit, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So I was with someone for about a year after that. And it was hard. It was like, that was when it was like the SAG strike and like the Writers Guild and all that. And so it was just really slow. And then, so I just spent that year auditioning when they came in and continuing to train and coach and do things on my own and write and do some theater and do some workshops. I'm like, always joke, I'm like, I feel like no one in the city knows me because I just live in like workshops and basements. and then they're like, oh, have I, or like certain playwrights know me or whatnot, or whatnot. Like lots of like, a lot of the projects that I've done have all been development-wise, which is super fun, and like the meat and potatoes. I
think
feel
that's so much
being an
fun
actor.
to play.
Totally,
like so much space to play.
Yes, and I love it. But yeah, sometimes it's like, I am here.
Yeah, right. Still here, guys. Don't forget.
Yeah. And then, so that's why Desperate Measures happening was like so nice. And then, yeah, and then I signed with Grand Wave, and they've been great, and like
amazing.
Really lots of oomph behind there, which I love. And you were talking about your agent, and it's like, yeah, that's what we want. We want agents that are like
hungry for it.
It's a team sport, baby. Yeah, and it's like I'm willing to put in the work, and it's always nice for that to be reciprocated. So
100%.
And like we were saying, like we can't do it without them. It's the ecosystem. It's like the nature of things. It's how it works. And
I know, nuts. With Desperate Measures, and then you got your agent. Did you get them from, like, did they come and see your show, or did you reach out to them?
So I had done Artist to Artist, the agent one, and it was kind of like milling about, and like I was talking about, like, find your bubble, find your crew, you know, so constantly chatting with other actors and being like, who are you with? How are you feeling? What are you auditioning for? Just like, not in a mean or comparison or competitive way, but just, it informs you, right? Like you were talking about like the terms and everything. Like I learned from my friends that are number ones on series and things like that. And it's like, oh, great. Okay. Filing that away for later, or like, I would love your problems or things like that. I know, right? You know, it's a great, you know, it's a good reflection back to you to realize like all the glitters ain't gold, and you never get your happiness from there. There's always a little something going on, right? And I think being driven people and artists, there's always one more step further that you can go and everything.
100%.
I just completely derailed us. But
no, but that was great. 100%. It never ends.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. So then I was like just kind of constantly chatting, had taken a couple meetings, was doing some emails, had some people reach out to me. It just never really sealed the deal, which is fine. It's like, I think, part of the process. And then around Desperate Measures, I was like, okay, let me like leverage this for a second. And I had a friend a few years ago say to me, like, I have a friend that's with Grand Wave and I think you'd love them, for example. That was like 3 years ago.
Nice.
And I was like, oh yeah, I don't. And then I had one more friend sign with them. And then I ended up being like on a webinar, because like, as always, constantly training, doing all these things. And I saw Carolyn speak, and I actually said to her in our meeting, I was like, oh, I like her. I like the way she I like the way she approaches things and talks about the industry and things like that. And so had a meeting with her, and she was really enthusiastic. And then the voice agent was like, yeah, would love to have you on board. And they just like were interested in me as an artist, and we're like, yeah, let's team up. Let's give this a go. So
amazing.
Haven't booked anything yet. So thanks, guys.
I haven't booked anything, so please don't drop me.
Please keep me on. Yeah. So,
every actor ever.
Yeah. And I always say, like, it's a long game. I've said that for a while. And I'm like, yeah, it turns out, as here we are in our 30s, it's a long game.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But I like to think it always, you know, you put the work. And I remember when BRB closed, I was on the phone with one of my coaches, Lynn Cormack. I love Lynn Cormack. Go see Lynn Cormack. I always say anyone who's like graduating theater school, or like you said, like doesn't know terms or things like that, like Lynn, not maybe the basics, but like anyone transitioning from theater to film and television, or just like, she's the best. She's not gonna, I mean, I'm sure other people have had has to, you know, put the disclaimer in there, like, I love her, I think she's great. Right. But she doesn't sugarcoat it, but she'll give it to you straight, but she also believes in like building you up and things like that.
Nice.
And I remember on the phone with her saying really upset and being like, do you have any suggestions for me? Or like, do you have an agent that you know is looking? And she was like, babe, I hate to tell you. Compass just closed. There's an agency crisis. Like, you're kind of like, you're in it.
Yeah.
just like hang on
You might
kind of
be,
thing.
yeah, you might be chilling for a minute.
Yeah, and she had said to me, she's like, but I promise you, I've been in this industry for a very long time, and the cream will always rise to the top. She's like, I've seen it happen 100 times. So I think just like, yeah, long game, be a good person, be kind, work hard, and do good work. And
yeah.
but I don't know.
But I don't know. We're really just crossing our fingers.
Yeah, exactly. Point. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I was talking to a guest that I had on previously. He was talking about in the 90s when all the work from America left.
Yes.
And everything dried up here. And it just, when he was talking about it, I was like, so the same as like what's happening now. We're just in a cycle. Like it's just, okay, it'll get better.
Yeah, and then this is
rock bottom, guys. Hold on.
Yes, you just got to hang on. But I feel like every couple of years, I'm like, we're still here. I'm still hanging on. Okay.
I know, right? I think too, it's weird or it's hard to see it this way, but like Desperate Measures would be a little building block in your repertoire and whatnot, and everything you've done, every theater play, every little commercial, every audition is building up your career. And so it's hard to see because you're like, well, I pictured me being a lot further than I am right now, but it all counts towards the goal. It's just really friggin' hard to see sometimes.
Totally. No, I love that. And it's so funny. I always say, I didn't make this up, but I always say like, trust the dots. When you look back, all the dots connect, all the dots make sense. So we just got to like trust that like, you have to put yourself in the right position and everything like that. You have to be smart about it, but like,
you can't just sit at home being like, it'll happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say, I'm like, and part of trusting the dots is you're allowed to sit there and be like, I fucking hate this dot. This dot is so hard.
Yeah.
This dot sucks. I would 100%. Like a new dot, please.
I would like a new dot. I'm sorry, I didn't order this dot.
Please, sir, may I have some more dots in a good direction, please and thank you.
Yeah, some positive dots.
Yeah,
These seem pretty shit.
But then like you look back and it all makes sense. Like I've always said, the majority of on-camera projects that I've done haven't premiered. They've stopped in post, or there's a whole web series that hasn't been released.
Yeah, that's fair. Post, I don't even, I think the first time I produced, I was like, oh yeah, you need to have budget for that too. Yeah, I'm just thinking budget for the on-set time. Yeah. Forget pre, forget post. Yeah. I was like, the budget is for this. What are you talking about?
Post is so
color
expensive.
graders would like to be paid.
Yeah, that's crazy. And like, and color's so important and things like that. And like, I produced and created a short, and I like learned so many things through that as well.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point being like, just arriving on set for day one of just finishing a script is hard. Yeah. Finishing filming is hard. Finishing post-production is so hard. And submitting to festivals, like every little thing is challenging. So it's like when anything comes to completion, it's amazing. But
so amazing. I say that I did a page of reviews for Fringe.
Amazing.
And it's on my website. And I just started off with, so if you're in the Fringe, you won. Like, you're good. On the back. You're good. You did the thing.
Yeah.
Do not take my criticism, because some of them I really liked. Yeah. Some of them I was like, okay, you're fresh out of school.
That's the Fringe,
and
baby.
I can tell. Yeah. Exactly. And so I was like, okay, not as great. But I was honest about my reviews. But at the beginning, it was just disclaimer. You did the thing, and don't take anything I say to heart. Like, do not quit because of what I said. I will feel so shit.
That's amazing that you said that.
Well, nobody would read it. Let's be honest.
That's not true. Don't talk about yourself that way in front of me, please.
You're so cute.
Like, hey. No, but it's so true. It's like,
but yeah, like completing anything is so hard.
It's
like,
so challenging.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So it's like, as an actor, you have to walk on set and be like, maybe nobody will see this.
Yeah.
It's just part of being an actor, right? Like there's a whole short that I would love to be released. Most of the projects now I'm like, it's been enough years. I'm
not going to use it for the demo reel anyway.
It's dated. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like, things that sometimes we often don't see the things that are happening underneath, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And sometimes you get to dress up nice and
or
do a podcast or like go to an opening or like go to a premiere or something and you get to do like that thing. That thing's like 1%. of the time.
Right? And then the next day you're in the cold on set.
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
live.
I remember doing, it was a non-union docudrama, and it had to be, it was Florida in Hamilton in February. It was my last gig right before COVID.
Oh no.
And I had to lie on the cold asphalt in February
And be like, I'm fine.
and be like, this is fine. But also like, honestly, even, and like blood all over me and all that stuff because I was the victim and all of that. Like, but honestly, I remember being like, 10-year-old Hilary would be like,
this is
cool.
so fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is so fun.
Yeah.
And I remember being like so cold and be like, nah, that's worth it. And that was just like a small thing, you know?
Right.
But yeah,
100%.
sometimes it's really fun to play and be cold. But sometimes when you're cold too many days on set, you need to like, I really wanted this. And I'm so happy and grateful to be here, which is so true.
It's so hard. I've struggled with this like in my friend group. There's a couple of us that are actors, and at the beginning when people would book something and they'd be like, oh, but I'm not doing this as much, and then we'd be like, shut up, you're fine. But it's true. Like you get to the next level, or you book something, you're on set and you're cold, and you're like, it's shitty, and you're like, I'm trying my hardest not to complain. I'm just so grateful. I promise, I'm grateful. Please, more of this. Yes.
Thank you more, please.
Yeah, but it's tricky that.
And the goalpost moves in an instant, which is great because it means you're driven. But anytime something happens, I'm like, well, obviously, but I want that thing.
100%. Yeah.
But
thank you
good.
next.
Yeah, thank you next. Yes, I should not clap. Yes, yeah, exactly that. And I think, it's just really, it's good to have friends and everything like that can kind of like lovingly smack you upside the head and be like, dude, you've worked so hard, and just be present for half a second.
Right. I think, I'm like, you're allowed to feel that 10%, and the other 90%, you better be grateful as hell.
Yeah. And I feel like for the most part, I am. What about you? How do you feel?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, would I like more auditions?
Always.
Always. I don't think that'll ever go away.
No.
Until I'm offer only.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Me and my friends always were like, offer only. Or to be like, for a one-liner or like something, which is amazing, right?
Yeah,
which is great. But like,
and then they cut it.
Super small. Yeah, exactly. Then you're on the cutting room floor. You're like, oh God, damn. But yeah, it's like, it's good to make jokes like that and be like, one day, or it's like the smallest thing. Or it's like eating doing an audition where you're eating an ice cream and being like, I went to school for this.
I know, right?
I went to school for this. Here I am.
My favorite commercial, I say favorite very sarcastically, was
a
like
plot building commercial audition.
Yeah, it was just like, you have Cheetos all over your face.
Okay.
And Cheetos dust on your fingers and whatever. And then you start like licking your face and licking your fingers. Then you realize you're a Cheeto. And so you start like eating yourself. I was like, I didn't go to Juilliard, but damn, like, it's like, but just cast off a headshot.
Yeah, but every actor has stories like that too. Like
100%.
So many actors I've seen interviews of, like wildly successful, Hollywood famous, like everybody knows them. Are like, I did a commercial audition once, or like, I'm in that show. You can see me. I walked past the back. I had a couple lines. They cut them. Like it's
100%.
It's all just
100%.
It's all just.
Do you ever have like? I find it with celebrities too. They always have like a no moment where someone told them like no, or try something else, or maybe this isn't for you, or just like a door in the face or whatever. Have you had any of those experiences?
Where it's like major no?
Other than just like the void we send things to?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's the challenging part, is like, here I am setting up my tapes. Please enjoy.
Yeah. Are you even watching this?
Yeah, exactly. I would say like I sit myself down every single year.
Yeah.
The older I get, and I'm like, is there anything else? And that's why I ask myself, if like time and money, and like not in a jaded way,
if
I'm like,
didn't
if time
matter
and money didn't matter, would I go to school for anything? Is there anything else? And I sit and I meditate on it, and then I'm like, nope. Okay, well, here we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no kidding.
Yeah. So I think my previous struggles with agents, I had quite a few moments of like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
World? And I remember like having a meeting with someone, they're like, you're doing everything right, you just need to keep going. And I was like,
that's not what I want to hear. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Set this way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, you've arrived.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you.
Exactly.
Like I was driving up today and I saw all the trucks and everything like that and trailers. Like they're filming something on this street here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to triangulate our location, I guess. But doesn't matter. No. But something that I have a group of friends with, whenever we're out for a walk and we see them, they're like, I didn't get a call. Did you get a call? I didn't get a call. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
It's like little moments like that, but I laugh at it. One thing I'm trying right now is I'm like, how many no's do I need before I get to my yes?
I'm doing that too.
No way.
I'm tallying my auditions to count like how many until the first booked one.
Because everybody's booking ratios are crazy for the most part.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, there's another no. The yes, I'm one step closer to a yes.
Yes.
And like, listen, it doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't pay your rent. It doesn't. But this is like when I go back to Self Tapes, like this is what I think about it. It's like, are you being seen by the same casting directors multiple times? Are you getting a call back? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes callbacks just aren't happening. Like you don't understand how many times your name is being said in a room. And listen, I can sit here and I can say this and somebody's going to need to like tell me this at 9 p.m. tonight or something like that. Like,
right? I know.
We all need to remember.
This is all our best advice on our goodest, like our best days.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And then there's the days where we're like, what am I doing?
So it's like peaks, valleys, for
100%,
for sure.
100%.
I remember having a conversation with someone who is an associate artistic director at a theater. Okay. And I'd done lots of workshops for playwrights and development there. And I had like really amazing experiences and like connected with, this was theater obviously, so many amazing playwrights, and like got really juicy meat and potatoes work done, and it was like, just felt really fulfilling as an artist, and I was so grateful for that. And that theater brought me in for a general, which I was so excited and so grateful to have a general, and I never heard anything ever from them again. The ADs changed now and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was talking to someone who's the associate artistic director, and he was like, no, you were on their list. He's like, I promise you.
No
like,
way.
I know for a fact that you were. Of like,
ooh, I got chills.
We'd love to find, like, kind of waiting for the right opportunity for this one, because we really like her and we really want to like support her and work with her more.
Nice.
And it just never happened. And I was just like, it was so illuminating.
You didn't make me a role?
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
write me in.
There's so many things that are
that's amazing.
And he was like, you thought I met you at that workshop. He's like, I didn't. And I was like, yeah. I was like on the phone like, what? And he's like, no, I met you. He's like, I didn't meet you, but I saw you for the first time at a cold read at the Storefront Theater, which you may or may not remember, many years ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, you were doing a reading there, and I was there to see someone else. And I was like, who's that girl?
Stop. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
That's
and I
amazing.
was like, oh my gosh. Like, and he's like, so just like, as someone who's on the other side of the table, you don't know, just because it doesn't pan out, you don't know how many times your name's being said in rooms that you just don't know about.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm like having a good thought about somebody or being like, man, you killed that tape or things like that, I try, sometimes I fail, but I try to be like, hey, by the way, like, great job, kind of thing.
Nice.
Because we just don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you really do never know. You never know who's watching this.
Wait,
but I love that story.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
And I think it's such a good
Such a good English.
It's such a good English. I talk for a living sometimes.
I'm the exact same. I'm like, wow, I can't speak English, and I'm like, I want to do a podcast.
Yeah, you're like, would you like to hear
idiot?
anything?
Read a book. Like,
no, your podcast, everything is so good. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
oh, thank you.
But I think things like that are so important to remember because, like, as actors, we are like, I don't want to say bottom rung. I don't want to, like, you know.
We're like, we're teetering.
Yeah, that. So often we're like, our egos are so vulnerable. But, like,
So vulnerable.
also, we have very little control. And unless you're producing and writing and directing everything that you're in, your job is inevitably at the hands of somebody else.
18 other people that you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many times where it's like, I love seeing something I auditioned for or got a call back for or really wanted to book, and the person looks nothing like me or made completely other choices.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know about you, but it's easier for me.
Thank God it was not me.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that was never mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was somebody who looks exactly like you. You're
Yeah,
just
I'm
like,
kind of like,
shit.
but like, yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
But
Yeah.
like, that's kind of like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Is I'm like, okay, if I didn't book it, oh, that wasn't mine.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then it's like a trust the dots scenario again.
Yeah, 100%. And you never know like what it was that they wanted or didn't want or whatever, right? And it's really hard to submit and keep doing these auditions and not know if you're the problem. Like, am I the
Me?
problem?
I'm the problem. It's me.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah. But I think what I've tried to do recently with the counting of the auditions too is instead of like, because we're really programmed and geared to do like, okay, you do something, you see instant result, right? Especially
with like our phones and TikTok and Instagram.
Yes, exactly. So I've tried to flip it in my mind now to be like, okay, if I told you you had to do 60 tapes before you booked a job, would you do those 60 tapes?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, you would do those 60 tapes. So it's just like you said, like it's one more closer to the yes. 100%, because and with this podcast too of like, I'd like somebody to sponsor it at some point.
Sponsor her, come on.
Me.
Sponsor her.
I'm pre-famous. So,
Get me while I'm cheap.
yeah, literally. But I'm like, well, if I told myself like, okay, if it takes 100 episodes to get there, would you do 100 episodes? Yes, I would do 100
Like
episodes.
if future Allison,
I would do it for free, but don't tell them.
cheap, not that cheap. You know? Yeah, if future Allison like came down and was like, girl, you got this. You just need to do it for like 6 more months or 1 more year or this many more episodes. You'd be like, okay, great. And I think that's
not a problem.
I think that's the hardest part, right?
Yeah.
Is like the not knowing, is the unknowing.
Exactly.
But I will say is I got a really incredible email from a friend who was doing a project. It was shooting in Hamilton. And I remember like getting the script and feeling really good about my self-tape and handing it in. And I was like, the vibes were good. And I like saw her around at TIFF and like we had a great chat. And she's like, I love your demo, by the way, and like all that stuff. Like,
oh, nice.
And so I was just like, oh, it'd be really nice just to like do this thing, be so grateful for an opportunity to be an actor and all that stuff. And have somebody else pick me and all that stuff. Like it always feels nice.
Yeah.
And she shot me an email being like, hey, you are a runner-up. And I just like, I'm an actor too, and I know that feeling. And I just don't want you to think that you did anything wrong. And most of the time, you're not anyways. I mean, I'm sure some people do some crazy shit on their self-tapes, for sure. But like, sometimes that's what sticks, right? But it was sweet, because she was like, you know, it also never feels great to be like, you were really close. We really loved you. You're great.
Pick me.
But we're going this way. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly. Not Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, it's like, but I so appreciated her taking the time to like say that. Because otherwise it's just like, okay, void, here we go.
Right.
And I don't know. I don't want to harp on that too much, but it's just like.
Yeah, my sister she's a nurse, and she's like, what do you mean you apply and you never hear back? She's like, that would drive me fucking insane. Like, I
You're
need
like,
to know,
yeah.
like, what can I do better? What did I do wrong? And my mom was like, well, why don't you just message them and ask them what you did wrong?
Why
And
don't
I
you
was
just
like,
call Netflix?
why don't you-
Yeah. Why don't you just give them a call, hand out your resume. The office is around here somewhere. I'm sure that would.
Exactly. They're filming on the streets.
Yeah, for sure. Just go up. Somebody will help you.
Knock on a trailer.
Listen, we so appreciate the support, but it's just like, do I tell you how to be a nurse? Just like use a different needle. What?
Use a different needle.
Like, mind you, that's different because
Just
you're
pull the
literally.
plug.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? Which is like, that's different. You're dealing with life and death, actual open heart surgery at times, things like that. But like,
but no, it's so true. I think it's just like the non-creatives have like, or people who aren't actors, like just don't understand how it works. And when they make suggestions, you're just like, you're cute.
Yeah.
I appreciate that I understand that you think you're helping.
Yeah.
But it makes me feel like you think I'm just sitting here doing nothing.
Yeah, when the reality is it's possible that I remember talking to someone on in an airport. I was flying Regina to Toronto like at Christmas or something like that during the holidays.
Right.
And this guy I had my like ski helmet like attached to my carry-on, and he asked what I was doing with it, and I was like, oh, I went skiing with my family, and oh, what brings you to Toronto, and blah, 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 blah. He was like an older guy, meant no harm, but like was saying things where I was like, I want this conversation to be done. I just spent Christmas with an extended family. I've had this conversation already, and those are my family. I love them.
Right. I know.
And I remember
through the same answers.
yeah, exactly. And I just said to him, I was like, listen, I actually I work all the time, even if I'm not being paid for it. Like, I think a lot of people that are young are having to work harder than ever, and but like in this industry, it's tenfold. I was kind of like, I would wager that, like, how many hours a week do you work? Kind of thing. And it's like,
also, have you made partner?
Yeah. Good. I should have. Yeah. I'm like, I'm being too kind about it. But
did they accept your 2 weeks vacation, Carl?
Exactly. How's that 2 weeks if you're like, and once again, like, cool if that's what you want.
Yeah.
But like, not us. Apparently.
Yeah, I was like, but I don't understand.
Yeah.
I won't even pretend
but make
to
it make
understand.
sense. I remember like years ago, I was like babysitting as a job, and the parents wanted to go away, and I would take care of the kids for this one weekend. And I was like, cool, but if I book something, like, I have to bail kind of thing. Like, anything in my life is like asterisked with like,
100%. Bye, part-time job.
Yeah, exactly. And so this was just like that. And they were so wonderful and flexible with me all the time. I'd be like, I have an audition tomorrow, like, not going to be until 2, because this was like pre-COVID.
Right.
And I remember I had a call back and it went really well. And I told them that, and she's like, well, when are you going to know? And I was like,
the night before, bitch.
I was like,
Sometimes the morning of.
Yeah, and I had like been working for them for like 8 months at that point, and I was like, oh,
right.
This is
shit. Sorry,
cool.
Let me explain.
Yeah, and because they were going away for that weekend, and they needed to know if I was going to be working or not.
Yeah, their children are going to be fed.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was just like, oh, I either won't know, or like, if I book it, I'd probably know within the next couple days. And she's like, sorry, you just don't know? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like realizing in real time what's happening here. And she's like, how do you live your life? And I went,
a day at a time, baby.
Yeah, it's like,
at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a friend whose partner is a city planner, and he was interviewing planner. And he was interviewing all these different like firms.
Okay.
Or, once again, things that I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm interviewing, I'm doing this work for them, and I'm not hearing from them. Or like, they're like, yeah, we'll call you. And then they fucking don't. They don't call me. And I've done 6 interviews in the past 2 months. What, like, this is crazy. My heart can't take it. And his partner just went, that's so frustrating. Yeah. Do you know what the last 6 years of my life has been? Like 6,
right?
Like, babe, and like once again, your feelings are valid, but like,
Yeah.
can we just take a step back and be like,
Right? So every time my partner's like, I have a tummy ache, I'm like, do you? Like, I don't think you know what that is.
yeah. I feel pain. Yeah, exactly.
Right? But yeah, last 2 months, I'd be like, bless.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So what made you want to do your shorts and create yourself, just the gaps in between? And you're like,
The gaps in between.
creative juices?
Yeah, creative juices, gaps in between. I had like lots of half-written screenplays, and then I had a friend that was originally from the States, married to a Canadian who's dual.
It's the way to do it.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's
Check.
yeah, I was like best of both worlds there. And she we had talked about like, we met in an acting class, classic. And we had talked about like maybe making something. And then we realized that her SAG credits weren't transferring over to ACTRA.
Really?
It was a really like complex situation or something like that.
Lame.
And so, yeah, so it was like, let's make something, and then
Nice.
that'll get you that. So it was honestly like born out of that, but also, you know, if you cycle a couple dots back, it was like me with like a few half-written screenplays, and like,
Nice.
then like we were so lucky to have like, you know, I love Issa Rae's mentality of like lateral networking and things like that. Like, look around you. There's a whole bunch of people that are probably like really down. It doesn't just have to be someone above.
Yeah.
And like, or like mix it up. You know what I mean? It's just in an extent, like hold the door open for other people kind
Yes,
of thing.
yeah.
But I was really lucky that I had lots of friends that like had made series and things like that, and were like, oh yeah, I love this idea. Can I like jump in and direct this, or like, can I story edit, or like, my friend was like, I'd love to edit it, you know, or like, can I work on
Thank God.
department? Yeah, because it's not gonna be me. I can edit a self-tape, but like, I'm not, you know.
Yeah.
That's
amazing though.
Yeah, and so it was just like a really nice way to just take like a little bit of autonomy and things like that, and be able to like create something. We never we got into a few festivals, but we recently, myself and Jane, the girl who co-created it with me, we were like, oh, we never released that. Now it's a few years old, so it's like, it doesn't look as nice as what is out there now and things like that. But I'm like just so appreciative of this like little thing that so many people came together and like worked really hard for, and gave so much of their time and efforts. And
again, if you finish a project,
yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah. So, and then I have been lucky to jump on other friends' projects and things like that. And
nice. And was your short film, was it under Union, or was that before you were
Union?
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
That's fun.
So it was like, it was just nice for everybody, and and just like, I remember like just standing there at the end and being like, I love all of you, thank you very much.
Right?
So
I love that.
yeah, so it's always good to, you know, whether or not it gets a full life or not, I think it's always good to try to stay creative and just like flex those muscles, right?
Yeah.
And then that's why I like doing the self-tapes too, is like, even if I don't have a self-tape that day, it's like, it keeps the creative juices flowing, and you're riffing and all of that stuff. And then it also just helps you, like, it gives you an idea of what's going on in the industry too, like a small.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing a lot of comedy scripts or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or like,
Have you ever had like someone come to you with a self-tape, and then you're like, called your agent, was like, hey, there's a self-tape out there?
I did have one. The trouble is, by the time you're taping, it's like the submissions have already been there.
Yeah.
So I got pushed for one, and I'm always like, if I get a breakdown in it, like, it always has to be like respectful, and it kind of has to be the right thing.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
it has to be the right fit. Or there's some times where I'm like, I helped run a producer session. Like, I had a client come and do a producer session for a lead on this series. And the script is great, and I've read it, And so if there's anything you can do to get me on this series, or just get me in the room to get me,
Yeah,
like, to be seen for this series and things like that.
That's a good idea. That's a good way to do it too.
Yeah.
So smart. You're just like, I like the writing, I like the characters.
Yeah, like this is...
Throw me in.
Yeah, and then
put me in the ring.
Yeah, exactly. And then part of that teamwork is also just like being like, they're getting to know you as an artist, like, oh, I'd kill for a project like this, or
that's true. Yeah, I always am just like, you should know. You know, in my head, I'm like, wait, no, they don't even know me. Like,
it's a relationship, right?
Yeah,
you have to keep learning, and then they learn from each self-tape and things like that.
Yeah,
about, like, who you are, and
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, if you ever have a possibility of being like, oh, this is great, or like. Yeah, there's been times where I've been like, oh, I should just put myself on tape for that, and then it's a good actor exercise anyways, and then it either works or it doesn't. Like, it either like makes it to the casting director or it doesn't. And
nice.
Yeah,
that's so fun. I love that you do that. That's so fun.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. It's sometimes they're busier than others, and then but I really enjoy it, and it's like actors are cool, special people.
Right? Yeah.
All creatives are.
Yeah. And I like actors helping actors, because I think we had the weird mentality growing up of like, you know, elbows up, or only one of us can get the role.
Yeah.
And good luck, hope you fall. But, you know? And so, but now I find it's just so supportive. Like, like everybody, I mean, you're going to get your bad apples anywhere, but for the most part, like everybody's pretty supportive and understanding that, like, if it's your role, it's your role. Yeah, and it's like, once again, it's likely nothing you can do for it. Exactly. So it's just like, what's the point? You can put out that bad energy, or you can be like, well, I remember I had a friend, she was one, I did a self-tape for her, actually, and I emailed my agent at the time and was like, hey, can I be seen for this? And it was like an indie project, and she was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Like, I think we can push this, and it's reasonable. And so like, hurried up, like, and we both just taped for it. And I remember saying to her, like, well, I really appreciate you like thinking of me that way. And she goes, babe, I would love either of us to get it. If I'm not gonna get it, I would rather it be you. Right. Or, you know, like, team sport. 100%. In some ways. 100%. Yeah. Because it does feel like a lonely journey at a lot of times. So it's nice to keep like collaborating and talking to other actors. Yeah, exactly. And then like also have a life too, a little bit. Like, make no mistake, I'll talk shop all the live long day and like with anyone. And I'm like, we talked about Insecure before we even started recording. I'm always like, it's so beautifully shot and things like that. But like, it's also like, go out for a glass of wine with your friend. Like, we're playing people at the end of the day. Yes. So also just like, I would say I'm a bad networker, because I'll make like one like connection in a corner and we'll just like yap all night. Yeah. Which is great, because I, you know, admire authenticity. Yeah. But also at the same time, I didn't say hi to anyone else. Exactly. Yeah, I've so done that. That's why I call this networking on my terms. I love that. I've seen you post about that, and I think that's so cool. And it's like, or I'll be like, man, I love food, for example, and I'll be like, man, what have you been eating this month? You know what I mean? Or like something like that. Or it's like, let me tell you, I had a glass of wine the other day that was top tier. Let me talk to you about it for 10 minutes and 10 minutes, things like that. Or like, I love to ski, or things like that. For my agent, I ski so safely. I've been battling that since I was 10 years old. I'm like, I have a helmet and I go down very slow. I ski like a 60-year-old lady. But that like, is so funny. Yes. I wouldn't even think about that. You're so right. Safety. Yeah, can't just like show up with a broken leg and be like, here I am. Here I am. Yeah. So can you work around this cast? Yeah, for sure. For sure. No problem. It's like, we'll put the table in front of us here. And we'll just, So I think like, just also having not other interests that supersede it, but like, other avenues like this. Because otherwise it's like, you want to be a whole person. Where it's like, what did you do this summer? I try not, it's so hard at those networking events to not be like, you know, what are you working on, or what are you up to? And I don't know about you, I'm terrible at it, because I just hate that question. Yeah, because like, nothing, bitch. Because I just, exactly.
But the reality is probably not, because it's like, well, I just assume that everybody else is working out or reading scripts or writing or watching content, and it's always, I find the people that are like, yeah, I've got 7 scripts and I was doing this and blah, 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 blah. And then I leave the conversation sometimes being like, well, yeah, like I'm doing that too, but I just like thought that was
thought we were
what we're supposed to do for sure. So when people are like, what are you up to? And I'm like, not much. The reality is, no, I'm just doing the thing.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not. Or I'll be like, man, I was just on set for this amazing project, or like, I'm working on this, but like, networking is always just so fun. Yeah, and I think that's the key is like, to not make it networking.
I think once you call it networking, everybody's like, fuck. It's like, great, now I have to offer something, and or like not come off like I need something from you.
Yes.
And it's like, can't we just like, a normal conversation would be fine.
Yes.
Like, stop calling it networking.
So I always try to be like, what'd you get up to this summer? Like, have you taken any trips lately? Or like, how do you feel about like the dystopia we're currently living in, or things like that? Like, I don't know.
Something nice and light.
Yeah. Chip, chip, cheerio.
I love it. That's hilarious. Anything that you wanted to talk about that I didn't ask you about?
I don't think so. I feel like I probably gabbed to you.
Oh, that's what the podcast is for. That's why we're here.
Yeah, no, those, I don't know. Cool. Is there anything I should say? I'm once again bad at room for improvement. No, I've had such a good time, and if people want to come for a tape, it's prismselftapes.com or on Instagram at Prism Self Tapes.
Amazing.
I'm an actor. My name is Hilary Wirachowsky.
Please hire me.
Please hire me. And I like to think I'm a nice person and kind of fun, and I like to act. And
100%.
I will give the disclaimer for the self tapes. I'm bad at updating my website, my Instagram. So even if it's so hard because you can't share the things, and a screenshot doesn't look as good as it is, and I don't want to get
marketing alone is just
Yes, I feel like your marketing's great.
Yeah, so, well, I would like someone to do it for me.
Right. There you go.
It's a full-time
there
job.
We go. So this is what we need for Allison.
Sponsor me, so literally I could pay someone else to do.
Yes, please take this a little bit off my hands, so I have a little bit more space.
Right. But marketing is a fun journey. So
and it's a weird little beast.
Yeah.
And I also, with the self-tapes, I try not to make it about the booking, because like we do that enough to ourselves.
Yes.
So I try to like celebrate the thing, but it's also like, what I should do is like, this person just booked a series, but.
True, yeah.
So I'll jump in there every once in a while.
Right, but, yeah. And that's all we are required to do, really.
That's all we can do, just doing the damn thing, right?
Right, exactly. But that's awesome. I love that you do that. Check out her self-tapes. Hire her for self-taping.
Thank you. And as an actor, more importantly, but also like if you got a self-tape, I know this podcast, everybody listens to it as an actor, or a whole bunch of people. I'm like, right. I got you.
That's right. Anyway, I'll finish off with the 2 questions. Yeah. What they'll be, I don't know.
Okay.
One question I wanted to ask you is just to like, it's kind of a fill in the blank. Anyway, to be a creative, you must blank.
To be a creative, you must love it and work really hard.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, you gotta love this shit. 100%. I like that. That's awesome. And what is something that you would tell your younger self starting out? If you could go back, is there anything you would change? Or you like the way it's unfolded?
Probably join the union when you're 15.
Join it.
Probably, yeah.
That's true.
Just that like, probably join the union when you're 15 and just like, and keep going. Kind of thing. Keep going. Yeah. And then it can happen.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is going to be challenging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I feel
don't expect this walk in the park. I don't know what the Delulu I had was, but I was like, everybody else is like, you're going to get so many no's. I'm like, not me.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I remember, because I remember like when I moved here for school, I was like, to have the Delulu of 19-year-old Hilary being like, I'll move across the country. I'll do this hard thing. It'll be fine. Like, it'll not be easy probably, but like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, but like, that's my path, so I guess so.
And I'm like, yeah, exactly. I thought about that before. I'm like more jaded, or like, I'm just like older and more risk averse on certain things. Clearly not many things, but like, you know, certain aspects of myself, I'm like, oh, I don't know, or I don't know if I can do that. And someone once told me, she was like, you literally got on a plane when you were a teenager and was like, I'm gonna move to this other side of the country.
That's nuts.
And like, just make a new life.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but I like, you know, in some ways there's like the gutter rails that of like school and built-in community and everything like that, like for better or for worse, things like that. Yeah.
Still though.
Yeah, and people say it's going to be hard when you're like young and you're like, yeah. But
and then you're in it for like a decade and you're like, oh, you mean this rock bottom?
yeah, or like this hard, or like, okay, yeah, sure, here we are, let's go. Okay, let's go. Yeah.
Dry spells happen like this. Oh, this crazy.
This is what it feels like. Yeah.
I know.
Which you don't know until it's happening to you.
Yeah. I find too, sometimes when people are like, oh, and then I didn't work for like 6 months. And I was like, that's the longest gap you've had. Like,
it must be nice.
I go down to the book of records.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's all part of it. It's
100%.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'm
you
glad
so much
that we
for having
could
me.
work this out.
Me too.
Thank you so much for listening to this interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me your favorite part in the comments below, and I will see you in the next interview.